I will start with the basic idea that those who've been advocating for Medicare for all for the last 10 years, who have made it the most popular policy in the country, those folks, they're not with Jimmy Dore's strategy because they've been working the mechanics. Let me read a sentence to you from a smart piece by Eric Levitz in the New York Magazine today. Quote, ignoring the structural obstacles to single-payer passage, the fragility of public support for the policy, and the simple fact that people can share political values while earnestly disagreeing about the best way to advance them, all for the sake of declaring Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez an enemy of America's uninsured, is a sound strategy for ginning up interest in your rant-based YouTube show. Again, let me repeat the last part. Jimmy Dore executed a, quote, sound strategy for ginning up interest in his rant-based YouTube show. Okay, and let's not stop here. Why is that a sound strategy? Well, as a YouTube host myself, I will tell you why. Because, of course, the algorithm that drives audiences to your show rewards ranting. Hi, I do an opening for a reason. So do the algorithms on Twitter and Facebook. So if your purpose is to build a bigger audience, do just what Jimmy Dore did. Find someone popular to attack and let it rip. Of course, you must not feel guilty if your viewers are misled by your pointless ideas. Of course not. Or grow disillusioned and cynical because you gave them the notion that if only AOC had a spine, the world could be made better. Now we can blame Jimmy Dore for being cynical and manipulative. But he is just a tool. The toolbox in this case belongs to Google, which owns YouTube. They are the ones who need to be held to the account, that's really it, for creating a system that gives Jimmy Dore the incentive to do what he did to AOC. You can criticize your lawmakers and pressure them, but this is not about that. We need to take these tech companies and their algorithms apart. We will see how they reward the very things we say we don't want: divisiveness, shallowness, racism, capitalism. And here is one more that I feel every day: misogyny. The algorithm makes it harder to have a reasonable conversation. They make it harder for complicated ideas to be heard. And yes, they make it harder for women to succeed here because the audience is overwhelmingly male. And when I say overwhelmingly, I mean 86% of our audience is male under the age of 44. This is not identity politics. This is capitalism. I am extremely grateful, in fact, to all of you who do follow our show. You guys, and I'll say this again, by the way, 86% of you are guys. You are smart and curious, and you want to understand how things work, and that is incredible. And you stick around on Friday when we talk about gender and class, because it's not discussed enough on this platform. And I am so grateful to you, and I'm grateful to the folks who platform women and talk about these ideas. My message isn't that Jimmy Dore is the problem. My message is the tech world we all live in is the problem. Jimmy Dore is pursuing his career in a way that the tech platforms reward. This is about the economy and, of course, how capitalism works. Capital has created an overwhelmingly male audience on YouTube. Young men are understandably mad. Tapping this anger creates a viral effect, and that's what the algorithm does. It rewards rage by bringing you more young men. I'm not saying that women aren't angry either. I'm just saying, when I open up my YouTube, I don't get political videos. I get makeup tutorials, which I don't watch. So something's going on here. This is how the right wing grows its audience, of course, too. It's very hard to break through. Hard for women, hard for people of color, hard for men who don't feel like yelling. Of course, just ask Sam Cedar. Compare his numbers to Ben Shapiro's and Dave Rubin's. That's why he talks about this so much. By the way, even if you don't believe me, and sure, I've got an incentive to say this, then go ask Timnit Gebru. She is the AI genius who was fired by Google for criticizing Google's AI just a few months ago. Here is Gebru on NPR the other day explaining her dismissal. Let's play that clip real quick.
When Google ousted researcher Timnit Gebru, she felt targeted.
My theory is that they had wanted me out for a while because I spoke up a lot about, issues related to black people, women, marginalization.
It's something she really believed.
In other words, this is not about identity politics. This is about a hegemonic corporate power of Google, and it is about the power of YouTube to reward Jimmy Dore and his cadre for outrage, and not reward, by default, penalize nuance. This isn't about deplatforming.
Penalize.
Let's make that very clear. This is not about deplatforming. It is about the ghost in the machine, the algorithm, giving the advantage to some who are making millions at the expense of others. This is what Timnit Gebru was warning about.
Donald Trump Jr. was bitching about. They're doing something with the algorithm. I don't know.
What is more obvious? This is
Maybe people just
capitalism.
don't
Women
listen
don't get a
anymore.
fair shot. Progressives, of course, do not get a fair shot. Progressives have to work harder to break through the algorithm, whereas Dave Rubin can go viral for a silly rant. The most popular political shows are, of course, from the right wing. And most of the YouTube political audience, of course, is from young men, almost entirely. And when you don't have a fair shot, you have two choices. You can do what Jimmy Dore did and resort to cheap tactics that are not even backed by the biggest organizers around Medicare for All, like the National Nurses United or Bernie Sanders. Or you can do what we do here at the Nomiki Show, and what Sam Cedar does, and what Michael Brooks did, and what Jacobin's doing, Anna Kasparian and Nando are doing. Nuance, process, breaking apart the institutions and introducing authors and strategists. There are so many on the left, as you know, that are doing this and really thoughtfully doing it with very little money. You can work twice as hard to build a relationship with viewers like you guys, and I am so extremely grateful because I looked at our numbers thinking that we would be hit hard, and you guys have stuck around, and I think that's because we've built a base of support that really cares about policy, and we may even disagree on this, but what I appreciate about our community is that we can disagree and we can discuss the process and not take it personally. So again, thank you. We have an extraordinary show for you today. Eli Merritt is on, and Napoleon the Legend and Andrea Ravensky are on later for our panel. We'll be right back really quick after this break with Eli Merritt.
So she hates Jimmy Dore, and even though she seems to be progressive and recognizes the political landscape and how there's a lack of strategy, lack of conversation, lack of narrative, lack of coalescing, lack of great ideas, she still wants to make this about Jimmy and how she's all about nuance. Is it, sometimes you need to have nuance, sometimes you need a big fucking idea, you know? So anyways, that's Nomiki Konst on Jimmy Dore and Force the Vote and whatever she was talking about.